Hi out there, and welcome to this politically biased solo cast where I will be unpacking the long and complex history of tensions between Denmark and the US with regards to Greenland. The modern chapter of US interest in Greenland began in the early years of the Cold War, as early as 1946. That year, the US made its first attempt to acquire the island from Denmark under President Truman. He offered Denmark $100 million in gold for Greenland, citing its growing strategic importance as a bastion against Soviet influence in the North Atlantic. Denmark firmly rejected the offer, making it clear that Greenland, being an integral part of its kingdom, was not for sale. This marked the first public clash with the rest of the Anglo-globalistic world order over the status of Greenland. Despite the failed purchase attempt, and perhaps not surprisingly so when geopolitics is mostly about the long game, the US still maintained a strong interest in Greenland. So in 1951, a defense treaty between Denmark and the US allowed the globalists to establish military installations on Greenland to counter the potential threat from the Soviet Union. The most prominent of these was the Thule Air Base, which to this day remains a critical outpost for US missile warning systems and strategic operations in the Arctic. While this agreement cemented Greenland's strategic role in US defense plans, it also underscored Denmark's determination to retain sovereignty over the island, while still cooperating with the globalists of the post-Venetian oligarchic Rhodes Roundtable system that essentially controls all key institutions in the US today through clandestine puppeteering of its human resources, all compromised one way or the other, mostly through either blackmail or bribery. Over the following decades, Greenland's status continued to evolve within the Danish kingdom, and in 2009, under the Act on Greenland Self-Government, the island gained greater autonomy from Denmark, including control over its natural resources. This shift once again drew international attention to Greenland's untapped reserves of oil, gas, and rare earth minerals, as well as its increasing geopolitical importance due to the melting Arctic ice. These developments reignited the interest and positioned Greenland as a key player in the Arctic. The Greenland issue exploded into the international spotlight once again in August 2019, when then-President Donald Trump publicly expressed interest in buying Greenland once again, calling it a strategically interesting piece of property. Reports surfaced that the Trump administration had once again been informally discussing the possibility of purchasing Greenland from Denmark, which reignited memories of Truman's offer in 1946. Denmark's response was swift and unequivocal. Greenland was not for sale. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen called the idea absurd, a comment that prompted President Trump to cancel a planned state visit to Denmark, officially calling her quote-unquote nasty in return. In retrospect, I think it's fair to say that Frederiksen's unnecessarily loaded language was a bad play of social populism on her part, catering to the vast majority of Trump-hating Danes, hyper-propagandized into an irrational Trump hatred by the institutional machinery of the globalistic system complex, all for her own domestic political benefit. The diplomatic fallout strained relations between the two countries, though neither side escalated matters any further. Greenland's leadership also weighed in, with Greenland's Prime Minister Kim Kielsen stating that Greenland's natural resources and independence was not for sale, not commodities to be traded. The incident highlighted the delicate nature of Greenland's autonomy, its growing strategic importance, and the complications of Danish-US relations. As global powers continue to vie for influence in the Arctic, a region rapidly transforming due to climate change, tensions over Greenland have only become more pronounced. The US reaffirmed its interest in Greenland through both diplomatic and financial means, and in 2020, the US reopened a consulate in Godthåb, now known as Nuuk, Greenland's capital, for the first time since 1953. Additionally, the US has pledged economic aid to Greenland as a part of its broader strategy to maintain influence in the region and counter the growing presence of Russia and China in the Arctic. Denmark, on the other hand, has worked to maintain its close ties with Greenland while addressing the island's aspirations for independence. Greenland has increasingly signaled its desire to one day become fully sovereign, further complicating the dynamics between Denmark, the US, and Greenland itself. So, what's really at stake here? Well, Greenland's importance lies not just in its strategic location, but also in its natural resources. The Arctic is believed to hold vast reserves of oil, gas, and rare earth minerals that are critical for modern technologies, including renewable energy systems and advanced electronics. This also provides strong incentives for tech oligarchs like Elon Musk to push Trump into going hard for a takeover of Greenland as part of a repayment package to Elon Musk for Musk's support for Donald Trump's re-election. Quid pro quo, essentially corruption by buying services from a sitting president in exactly the same manner we just saw it done again and again with the Biden clan. Now, this kind of fusing of private sector interest with state power is essentially fascism by definition. As the most recent development, Trump has threatened Denmark with the possibility of sanctions in the shape of tariffs against Danish trade if Denmark refuses to sell Greenland to the US. If that should occur, Denmark should also sanction the US, hopefully supported by the rest of the EU, for its bombing of the Nordstream 2 pipeline. We now have an eyewitness account from Harbour Master John Anker Nielsen, stationed at Christiansø near Bornholm, who sailed out to the area to investigate the activity. He found American warships sailing around in that exact area with their transponders turned off. He was then approached by the Royal Danish Navy, who instructed him to turn around and keep quiet about it. It shouldn't be hard to figure out the rest of it for anyone with half a brain, and the Danish Navy certainly should also be in the spotlight over this, as it clearly looks like collaborative activity from the side of the Danish Navy in what was essentially a declaration of war against the nation of Germany, as that is exactly what attacking another country's critical infrastructure is. Once again, we see that the United States of America, as a puppet nation under the Rhodes Roundtable system, really has no friends. It only has different degrees of enemies. And there you have it. A quick look at the long arc of history and current events that have shaped the conflict between Denmark and the US over Greenland. From Truman's bid to buy the island in 1946 to Trump's, you might say, controversial comments in 2019 and the growing competition in the Arctic. Today, Greenland has become far more than just a remote gigantic ice realm. It's now a key focus in the struggle between two different blocks of global power. The dying Anglo-globalistic world order, clandestinely controlled by the parasitically oligarchic Rhodes Roundtable system on one side, with the rising BRICS alliance on the other, gradually moving the gravitational center of financial power further and further east, out of the hands of Anglo-oligarchic control, as BRICS also moves to ditch the dollar, much to the dismay of the central banking interests organized in the Bank for International Settlements. Here, Denmark has foolishly decided to place all its bets on one horse, where Eastern Europe, minus Poland and the Baltics, play a much smarter long game, allowing maneuvering in both directions to the ultimate advantage of themselves, as the financial point of gravity moves further and further east with every passing year. Denmark, however, stays on the Titanic with its globalist captain and crew, whereas the Eastern Europeans, minus Poland and the Baltics, have prudently started tossing lifeboats over the side railings to be able to escape going under with the financially doomed Anglo-globalistic world order. Now, I can certainly tell what the smarter long play is here. Can you? Let me know in the comments below if there's any angle I didn't get into that you think deserves attention. It just might be worth another solo cast. That will be all for now. Please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to help me get this channel off the ramp. It's super heavy lifting getting that done, so it would be greatly appreciated. See ya.